For those people, the word no is a great word of power because they never say no. They're always adopting themselves to what other people want. From there, you go into people who, they're natural givers. They're people that love to love, so to speak, and take care of people. But oftentimes, because of these other things, it's out of balance and they do too much for people. They're constantly doing too much because they do get positive feedback until it's taken for granted. And then it's that doesn't feel good. The trick about doing too much for others is you're the giver, and the one who gives is the one in control.
Lomakayu means everything finished well. One night long ago, a very young man, Clay, gazed up into the night sky. It was as if somehow, laid out in the pattern of the stars, there was a silent message that brought him into the feeling of his purpose for being here on earth. There was no clear message, no mission delineated, no importance bestowed upon him. It was as if an unnameable flame of desire to awaken took hold of him. From then on, no matter what he did, this flame drove it. Whether it was his acting, writing, time in the theater, being a merchant marine, traveling through civil wars in Nicaragua, living alone in the redwood forest, or studying English and philosophy at UC Berkeley, the flame was there. Hello and welcome to the show, Clay Lomakayu. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good. Wonderful to know. So nice to be in your company again. So my first question is the opening of your website, which says, dare to be who you are and refuse to be who you are not. Can you explain to the audience what this might mean for them?
Well, if somebody doesn't understand it, they're going to have to get to a certain place in their life where it's clear to themselves that they're not being in the world in their truth. And they may not be able to phrase it in that way. They may want that without being able to articulate it. Very frequently, people, because we all want to be loved, we adopt our behavior according to other people's reactions to us. So we become, so even as a child, let's say you're the one that sort of is smiley and takes care of everybody, and you get very rewarded for that. So you grow up as an adult, and that's what you do. You're always being for others to make them feel better. And that means any of your own negative emotions must be suppressed, because those are not rewarded. And it's not that you are those negative emotions, but because of the suppression within them, let's say somebody did something and made you angry and you pretended it didn't. So anger is fire. So that's part of your own fire that gets suppressed, because it's not just a part of it. And fire is light. And oftentimes, somebody who constantly does things for others and is very susceptible to other people getting into their space, they don't have a boundary. And your light is your boundary, which if you had to, like say somebody was sexually abused and they had to just become like check out completely. Mm-hmm. And the rage was just snuffed out. That part of that sense of protection, of able to protect themselves, isn't there. So they're going to have to find another way to protect themselves. They're going to create another kind of wall to keep people at bay, because they can't do it in a natural way that isn't necessarily either aggressive or anything. It's just like somebody does something and you go, that's not okay. Don't do that, please. Now, one of the reasons we don't, so actually, for those people, the word no is a great word of power because they never say no. They're always adopting themselves to what other people want. From there, you go into people who frequently, they're natural givers. They're people that love to love, so to speak, and take care of people. But oftentimes, because of these other things, it's out of balance and they do too much for people. They're constantly doing too much because they do get positive feedback until it's taken for granted. And then it's that doesn't feel good. The trick about doing too much for others is you're the giver, and the one who gives is the one in control.
Oh.
The receiver is not in control.
Okay.
So oftentimes people have many people have a very difficult time receiving. And if you don't receive, you cannot truly effortlessly give. Because you must receive, in a sense, from the universe and then give that back. If you are trying to give and generate it from your own self, you're going to wear out and get tired. So, I know I went through a lot of things in there. I could probably spend a half an hour in each one, but
I love when you said when you give from the universe, because a lot of people give of themselves until they get angry that they've given so much and don't feel appreciated. But when you change that and feel that you're giving from outside of yourself, really, you know what I mean? If it's the universal giving.
let me put that in a slightly different way.
Sure. I want you
Because
yes.
it's not as if the universe is it is, yes, sort of the universe is giving, not you. But
Yes.
think of it as more through you, not by
Yes, through.
you. Because it is passing through you. So you get to receive it first.
Yeah.
So that's the whole key with medicine of one. It's one sort of noble truth is to live at the center. And when you're at the center, you receive it. And then you're like a flute, a musical instrument, and then your music goes into the world. And that's your gift to the world, and it's the best thing you can do for the whole world.
Yes.
Whereas if you don't live at the center, because think of the circle of your life has collected many little stories that trouble you, and when things happen, you get pulled out of the center one way or the other. It creates emotions that you don't like, so you try to push those out of the circle, and it actually pushes you away from the center.
Okay.
So the whole key is, rather than push anything out of the circle of your presence, you let it come in. You are the sky to the weather. That's an emotional. And then it moves and it doesn't collect these charges. So a person that might not understand what does that mean, dare to be who you are and refuse to be who you are not. That means basically if they're not, most people have collected these behavioral things that are determined by their past that don't feel true to themselves, but they want to be loved.
Yeah.
So, and in order to be who they are, they must let those feelings move through them. So let's say a person behaves for other people because he gets his sense of worth from other people, which is obviously not the way you want to get your worth.
No.
So by clearing out these old stories, you fill up with worth. You are worth. And that's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the person, but it's a challenge. I mean, that phrase is a different way to describe the one noble truth, which is to live at the center. Because that's who you are, truly. So I use a circle.
Mm-hmm.
I have circles out on the land. When you stand in the circle, you feel the whole horizon. You feel this great sense of openness, open, space. And people come to this part of the world because of that, to feel that spacious, quiet presence, because that's who they really are, not the thinking. Mm-hmm. So, in this sense of the circle in the center and the one noble truth, the center of the circle is the fifth element, which is space, which is love. When you are spacious to another person, but particularly to yourself, that's self-love. So if somebody does something and I feel emotions move and I contract, I've abandoned who I really am, which is the open, spacious presence, which breathes. It's down because it's connected to the earth, and it just, you feel the space. Mm-hmm. The opposite of contraction is you don't breathe, you think, and your body's up, which is control. Right. So if you want to be completely in control, then you cannot sort of channel the universe, because that's not in your control.
I think that when you feel that you're in control, it shuts off the tap from the universe. Like if you're always wanting to control your environment and, even control people around you, then there's no space inside for that universal messages, the wisdom, and what is really our innate ability if we just let go. But it's hard to let go because we don't know really, even though we carry this, that we don't know really what we're letting go of, because people carry things for so long that it becomes part of them, part of their personality.
Well, I would look at it as, so some people have a very extreme need to control. Mm-hmm. Somebody that has like OCD.
Okay.
That sense of space makes them feel totally out, Somebody that grows up in a family where there's an alcoholic, mm-hmm. and it's very unpredictable, and you can actually be terrorized at times, creates a sense of chaos and unpredictability. And so to compensate, you have a stronger need to control everything because of the trauma of chaos. Mm-hmm. So when you grow up, it's like that person can constantly be worrying about what other people are thinking. When they plan a trip, they got to plan everything out. When they're driving, they're thinking like 2 blocks down the road. So there's a constant state of anxiety. Mm-hmm. They don't like anxiety, so they're contracting around it. It's making it worse, and it makes their need to control worse. So that story of what happened to them, the emotions in that story must be liberated through their own self-love, which is that sense of expansion and openness and quiet. So let me just grab a very visceral example of that. This person that grew up in say their father was an alcoholic, and sometimes it was really nice and everything, and then suddenly something would happen and they get, beat around a bit. They want that father to love them. That's what they want. But meanwhile, they're being terrorized like a hostage. So the last thing we want to connect with is that I want to be loved. It's like, Dad. Okay. And in fact, if I were with that person, I'd say, okay, I want you to do this. Just go reach out and plead, Dad. And it's like something in them will immediately shut. I'm not doing that. I don't feel, I'm not going to do that. Okay. So that's the problem, that block. Mm-hmm. Because if they can't love their own need to be loved, it owns them. And then they're a person that's in a relationship where they're constantly need to be loved, and anything happens that feels unloving, they react to. So if you notice in a relationship, opposites attract. Usually it's a one that's needy, and the other one's aloof and more, the protector. But what happens is then they repel. Because the other one's aloofness creates more need in the other one to feel, to know what they feel, to understand what's going on. So the more that intensifies, the needier the person becomes, which overwhelms the one who's aloof, which is how they protect themselves. So they they withdraw further. And then you have both people blaming the other one for the problem. The key is, the ultimate key, even though there's rage in there, are the feelings of the victim. Powerlessness, helplessness. It's the last thing we want to feel. Mm-hmm. But if you can get the sense that it's just a vibration, it is not who you are. Although that part of you, that little one inside of you, may feel powerless and helpless. Mm-hmm. If you can be loved to that, its feeling of that, and its tears and whatever, and again, it's not a mental I love you. It's bringing in the vibration into your body, such as by going, Dad, and breathing and relaxing and feeling the space and let it tremble through you. And usually you'll cry, tremble. And sometimes if people aren't able to feel it, then what you do is you bring in the rage. Okay. Physically too. So I would scream with my fists and say, Dad, almost like I hated him.
Yeah.
So sometimes hate is the remedy, not just of the vibration. You don't believe the story of the hatred, though. So when you move these vibrations to free yourself from the story, part of what you have to do is whatever it is you believe about that story. It's like you're hanging onto it with your hand, and you must open your hand and give it up. Because if you keep believing it, you will bring it back. So these things, I call them little eyes in the circle. So little eye is, pardon me?
Little
I.
eyes? Okay.
Letter I. Mm-hmm. A line with a dot, the head spins. Mm-hmm. The circle is you as the big eye, which is a line that connects heaven and earth. So we collect all these little eyes. We hate what they feel, often. Mm-hmm. We try to get rid of them. We do that our life until eventually it hasn't worked. It's not working. It used to work sort of, but it's not working anymore. And so that way of moving through the world has to be reversed, which is just self-love. It's what I call the true action of self-love, as opposed to, because that can be a very nebulous, conceptual thing, self-love. What's that mean? How do you do that? What is that? Mm-hmm. So for me, it is an actual state in your body that begins with total relaxation. So for some people, they have to realize how tense they are. So we all have little ways that we try to avoid feeling. So a lot of times I'll be standing in the circle and I'll be across from someone and I'll want them to go, like with this Dad. And what they'll do is they'll do it and then they'll smile. So what happens is that immediately cancels out what we're bringing in, because it can't occupy the same space, which is its whole point. It works. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But this gets back to, so somebody does that to their own emotions. They get to hide what they actually feel, but they don't know what they feel either. And so all these little tricks that we have, smile, stand in body, certain positions we hold, and all, they're little ways that we try to stay in control. Because by what I'm suggesting for that person, when I say that and I have them become spacious and let that energy in, They have to give up control. But I'm also asking them to abide, be here as who they really are, which is this relaxed, open, quiet space for 5 seconds. It's all we need. We don't need it, you don't have to be that way all the time. And then just in those 5 seconds, it's almost like a spell gets broken. If you can reverse that and you can bring in the opposites of rage and pleading, something goes like this and something changes. But say like a normal psychotherapy and a person just talks about it and their feelings come in and the therapist is there listening and letting their feelings come in, they're just energizing the story. If something like this doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. So it's a vibration that sits in the body. Is that what we're talking about? You have a vibration of that and it's letting that go?
So think of if I had a musical, like a chime.
Yes.
I have a chime and I hit it and it goes ding, and then I grab it and it stops. So when I've grabbed that, it's like that is trapped.
Yes.
And if it's a story, it's got several different vibrations and they all create one thing. If that vibration initially is something in the body were allowed to move, you would let it go through your whole body and all the space around you. So the trick is how to go ding to get that, to bring in the vibration. Uh-huh. So there are, obviously I have people when I'm out in the circle and let's say we're dealing with a parent that they're working with, and I want them to go outside the circle and pick up something that can embody their father. For some reason, this feels like, maybe it's pokey and sticky, or, it's hard and black, or so they pick that up, they bring it in the circle, and then I'll say, okay, tell me about that. What happened? And eventually I want them to tell me something specific that happened. Mm-hmm. So I just had this man, and it was his mother. And the first thing he told me was when he was a little boy, he had this piggy bank. And he had saved up a lot of money in the piggy bank. And his mother was a drunk. And she smashed the piggy bank and took the money. So, it's like without words saying you're worthless. I'm not talking about money, but it's an interesting metaphor. But it's like, you don't have this. This is mine. You don't, you're not, I don't value you. I don't love you. So there's that horrible feeling of almost like worthlessness, which is one of the things that people can crave for, worth. But there's also this rage. So by him telling me that story, I needed him to literally, with his body and voice, reach out to Mom. Mm-hmm. So initially he would smile. It wasn't a big smile. It's almost just like in the eyes, but it was there. And he knew it. So, but as we worked more, I got him to break through that. And then I got him, and when I could get him to bring in the rage, the vibration of it, through using his voice and his body, then it was much easier to get me to Mom. And that's the paradox. The rage is usually much harder in some ways for certain people. But it's sort of, because the rage comes from the hurt. That's what, it must be connected to that. If it's just a bare rage for no reason, the rage is for hurt. It's like we hate somebody, usually most intensely, when in some way we love them, or we want them to love us. Sometimes people could lay on a massage table and somebody could work with instruments and set off certain vibrations, and they might feel emotions and let them move. The only problem is they don't know what it's about necessarily. So that sense of letting go of what you believe isn't there. Or in some forms of like soul retrieval, where somebody is doing it all for a client, and they do whatever their session is, and the person feels better. Now, in my version of that, that person has to help me. So when I do a sort of retrieval or whatever, I'm creating a journey, and it's coming through me through emotions and all types of vibrations, words, way that I say things, in order for that person to let them into their body and to allow it to move as they live the story with me. They have to live the story with me. So it's not something I'm doing to them.
Okay.
I'm just sort of like, it's a different way to say we have to bring this in. So it's kind of like a dream, and it may look like childhood stuff or past life stuff or recent things. I may sound like people. I cry, yell, scream, all things like that. But it's the same with the journey ultimately ending up to the place that they want to feel in the world. So when I'm ever with a person, the first thing I want to know, why are you here? What is it you want to feel that's different from the way your life is now? Because if you don't know what you want, it's hard to move toward it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of people don't. It's like you have to pull it out of them. Sometimes people have to talk about what they don't want. They don't want to be angry anymore. So if they're not angry anymore, what will they feel? Peace. So they're typically things like peace, freedom, trust is a big one, creativity, love, or a phrase. So you set those out in a cross, because that's the circle. It's the cross and the circle. Mm-hmm. It's like a mandala. So that's the first thing you lay out. That's the vision you're moving toward. That's the reason that we're going to do all this, is to liberate these feelings inside of you.
And you call it soul retrieval?
That's an aspect of it, yes, because, yeah.
It affects your soul, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get in. Your soul can't get in a sense.
Yeah. So you've blocked your soul because that's your feelings, that's your touchy-feely. So you've even blocked, so your soul is even blocked. Well, I would look at it differently. You've blocked this, just like we were talking earlier about not being in your body. Right, yeah.
It's like your soul can't be in your body.
Yeah.
And a soul is a tricky word.
It is. Yeah, it is a tricky word.
There are many ways to define it.
Yes.
It doesn't matter in a way, but it's the same outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So that's recorded for a person.
Yes.
And they must listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And they must live it when they listen to it.
It's part of the healing.
And because and frequently because it's difficult, it's, there can be a lot of strong emotions in it. Part of them may not want to.
Yeah.
Because they don't want, they're still trying to stay away from that.
Well, it's so cathartic, right? To go through that. And it's hard to revisit it.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, you have to, it's like, no, people, the way they survive is the opposite.
Yes. Get away from it.
But it has to get so bad for a person.
Uh-huh.
Which is going back to the very first thing you asked me, of people, what does that quote mean? A lot of people don't understand what that means, partly because they haven't gotten to the point where they know that that's what's going on. Their life is the opposite. They're not daring to be who they are, and they're not refusing to be who they are not. And I think they get to the point where they know that. Mm-hmm. Like somebody could be a housewife until they're 50 and realize that, and raise a nice family and everything mm-hmm. too, but they'll mm-hmm. get to there, and then, the kids are gone and everything, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
who the hell am I?
Yeah, because they're not busy anymore. And so
Yeah,
then these other questions come in.
I mean, raising children is probably the biggest job you'll ever have in your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of children, but I didn't raise them. So,
But it makes room for contemplation, revelation when the kids have left the house.
absolutely, right.
And you are alone. So then you start visiting parts of yourself that you didn't know exist or that you put away and didn't want to look at.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
what you're talking about, really. And then
Yeah.
it starts to come to the forefront. But for you and where you are, it's what you teach. People come to you in Sedona, to the medicine of one, for you to heal them. Some very famous people.
Well, to help them. I help them.
You help them heal themselves.
Yes,
Yeah.
because without them, I can't do anything. Some people want to go to somebody and just, okay,
Yes.
and I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I also get people, because I have to use keywords to direct people to me.
Right.
I use the keyword shaman, and if I had a better word, I'd use it. Because what I do is not like traditional shamanism.
It's
And
New
often-
Age shamanism.
Pardon me?
It's New Age shamanism.
Well, I call it non-dual.
Non-dual. There you go. Mm-hmm.
And so people frequently relate shamanism with somebody that's going to take away the bad spirits that are bothering you.
Okay.
Okay. So that's dealing with something outside them. The problem is not what they think is bothering them outside them.
Yeah.
Because the only way that can affect them is it's found a resonance within them. So it really has to come back to themselves and freeing up those energies that are attracting fear and anger and all that stuff that bad energies can feed off of.
Mm-hmm.
So, I get people a lot of times call, and I know that's what they want. And I said, look, that's not what I do.
Yeah.
I sort of look at it, it's like their immune system.
Right.
We're focusing on their immune system, not what it is that seems to be attacking it. And yeah, I mean, really, to me, the most that I want people to realize, I want them to experience what we're doing and take it into their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Not just come, it's done, then forget about it. To somehow perhaps adopt in some form or another medicine of one as a way to move through life, which is basically self-love.
Yeah, which is self-love. And people go on a journey their whole lives to find cures, find ailments to their unhappiness. And they go from one thing to another. And I really love what you do. It just seems more natural, and people can get real with who they are. They feel safe.
Yes.
To go inside. Because a lot of people, they resist feeling because they don't want to feel, because they're afraid of what that might look like. They're afraid how ugly that might look, right? Crying and not wanting other people to see that, right?
Well, and they also will have an experience of where in some time in their life where they showed that it was used against them.
It was used against them.
So that's like you get said, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah. I'm keeping that to myself, right? Yeah.
So, but that's a very important word, safety.
Mm-hmm.
It's a key thing. The circle is meant to be safe. Nothing gets thrown out. Nothing is judged. Not even if the feeling in that person when I say, I want you to do this is, I don't want to. Even that we must be loved to.
Loved through, yes.
Loved to, I don't want to.
Yeah, yes, okay.
That's its own vibration, which is hiding fear.
A tone vibration that is hiding fear.
Yes. So I say to somebody, I want you to go, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see him stiffen up.
Mm-hmm.
or maybe they'll cross their arms.
Yeah.
That's I don't want to. Okay? So I go, okay, good. Let's take that and bring that into the circle. So feel the space, breathe, quiet, then go, I don't want to. Take a breath and feel it, and usually they're going to feel the fear. That's what we're after.
That's what you're after.
This is hiding the fear.
Okay.
It seems to be in control.
Yeah.
So that's how nothing gets thrown out of the circle. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, that's one of the chapters in my book. Nothing gets thrown out of the circle.
And because of that, people feel safe. I think. Yeah. I know. Yes. I would.
Yeah.
If I knew that I could share something and it would not be thrown out, I would feel safe that I could share some of my deepest, darkest feelings. And it would be okay.
And anything that's going on.
And anything that's going
Whatever's in the moment, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I don't agree.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. But I should say this.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important in the beginning when I sort of lay all this out to somebody before we start that they do agree with me.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's this particular, way to do things is the one for them, that's irrelevant. But that what I've described and the process, it has to be an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And usually those are the people that are attracted to me.
Yeah.
I rarely get people that aren't the right people for me anymore. Because I've set my website up so much so that it's pretty in your face what I'm going to do.
You know what? Yeah, that's right. What you're going to do. So when you witness these transformations with people, you have a period of time where the soul then enters in, or the soul, they embody more of their soul? Like that transition. I'm thinking about that transition.
So let's take this man and this piggy bank, and I'm trying to work him up to take in this mom, okay? Mom! And feel that, and then I'm going to yell, Mom! Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And get him to the point where he can do it, and he does one after the other, and then he takes a breath, and he can feel. It'll be like this swishing.
Yeah.
And then this settling. And he will feel peaceful. So it's like slowly by doing this, whatever it comes in, it fills the body up. That's why it's liberation.
Okay.
It's not getting rid of anything. In fact, those types of words are important to get rid of. Even get rid of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Get rid of, because that's the problem, our effort to get rid of what we don't like, that we feel. Mm-hmm. The thing with this, too, is if you get to the point where you really can use it and understand it, it can help you tremendously with traumas that happen in the moment. You can deal with them almost right away so that you don't carry it. But that takes a lot of detachment.
Mm-hmm.
My dogs teach me that because they don't live very long.
Mm-hmm.
And they've died in very different ways. And sometimes there's been traumatic events in the course of it. So they it's like if I can sort of dive in there and get to what's going to be, like if I feel like something happened and I'm going to blame myself, I'm not going to deny that that's there. But I'm not going to accept it as the truth either. I'm not going to try to talk myself out of that. I'm going to try to feel both poles.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, so I'll bring in the vibration of it's my fault. And I'll breathe and relax.
Okay.
and I'm giving up what I believe. It's my fault.
Mm-hmm.
And then there may be usually it's always opposites. That's part of the key. Everything exists because of opposites. No opposites, no world. So emotionally, it's finding these opposites. And I don't mean love, hate.
Okay.
I mean like dad and dad, those type of opposites. So they're usually, it's almost like the needy one is a contraction and the other one's an explosive.
Right.
And by bringing the vibrations into the same space, something happens. And the best way I can describe it is like you break the spell.
You break the spell. And how long is the recovery time for that person? Is it immediate?
That's really dependent on what the person does with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how much, their own commitment. Sometimes there are people that really commit and do really, work at it. And then there are other people that just they kind of want you to do it all.
Yeah.
And people that come, and if it's just, they're here and then they forget about it. Sometimes that works for them. I mean, the soul journey session that's partly soul retrieval, people come to me just for that. And sometimes something's going on for that person and it's boom.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it just changes them completely. Other people have to use the session, listen to it for 3 or 4 months. But ultimately, what I really want them to get is what I'm trying to teach them.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in.
It's a lot to take in, yes. And there's a lot of emotion to it. And not only for the person that you're helping, but you as well. I mean, it's sometimes it drains people's energies, I guess, and other times it would gives them a lot of energy.
Yeah, that's true.
When their soul is involved. I'd like to shift gears just a little bit. When it comes to awakenings, when people awaken, and I remember when I had an awakening, and I was like, holy smokes. And I thought, and this was incredible. And I didn't realize, first of all, that there was such a thing, that I could feel, like one of the words that you use, like a liberation in my soul, in my being. And I thought that I'd arrived. But the thing with awakenings is you can have more than one. And it depends on what's going on in your life. For instance, another awakening for me was when I was T-boned, and my soul, I felt my soul being pulled up through my crown, and I didn't exist for a bit. And I was a different person after that. And I had been awake to a certain extent, but this was a big awakening. So can you speak on that type of transformation that people would have at the soul level?
Well, these are peak experiences.
Peak experiences, yeah.
They can thrust you into changing your life.
Yeah.
And so that you now put in an effort to do that, to develop, perhaps meditate, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the awakenings only, as far in that sense, it just cleared your vision, perhaps, to know what you want. And to have a sense of who you are and that you want to move toward that.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's not something you can generalize, because awakenings are, some people, they go and they do ayahuasca. Maybe they were an alcoholic and they did ayahuasca and boom, it's done. That doesn't mean they're really awakened.
No.
To me, awakened is not a peak experience.
Okay.
It's a sustained day-to-day thing.
Yes.
Of abiding as who you really are.
Abiding as who you really are. Beautiful.
Which is the being.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, allowing the doing to come through you.
Allowing.
The doing.
Right.
You do things in the world and, but you give up being the doer. That's that through me, not by me.
Okay.
Which is why when you talked about, if you said people come for me to heal them, I corrected that because it's not me that's healing them. The thing that I take credit for is getting out of the way. So I get out of the way so it can happen.
Mm-hmm. And we hear that often, is that people have a hard time getting out of their own way. Can you speak to that? Like, what does that mean, getting out of their way? Is it letting go of control?
Yeah, control is thought.
Control is thought, okay.
So it's getting out of the way. It is not trying to answer the problem with your own mind. It's like, these famous inventors, they're on the toilet reading the paper, and that's when it comes to them. They're out of the way. Mm-hmm. It's there. So like when I'm somebody, I'm not always trying to figure that person out. I'm right there with them, and they actually are telling me with their body and stuff where to go, what to do.
Okay.
And maybe I'll have a sudden impulse of do this. So in my process, I don't have, it's like in my form of shamanism, there's not like this whole technique thing.
Yeah. Because everyone's different.
Yeah, I mean, there is we're doing the same thing, but it's just each person's differently. And sometimes somebody comes and initially in the beginning, maybe if they're doing like a 3-day retreat, they need to talk a lot. Even though it's probably a problem, talking too much. It's like I have to sometimes weigh the balance of if they need to sort of drain that out. Mm-hmm. Or feel like they've been heard or whatever. But then at some point, if they keep doing it, I have to call them on it.
Okay.
Because it's usually the victim. And they like to talk about the story.
Yeah.
And
Are
that's
we our stories, though?
Of course not.
No. Okay. Good. Good to know.
But we are if whatever is in that story that are emotions that we haven't loved and we're pushing away, then yes, you are your story. Mm-hmm. Because it owns you instead of you owning it with love.
Right. It starts to own you, yes, of course.
So you get trapped inside of it.
Right.
And the whole thing about breath, space, down is you're leaping outside.
Right. Mm-hmm. And one of the things you didn't talk about is breath work. I mean, a lot of people are into that type of healings, and some of it is quite dangerous.
Yeah.
Some of the breath work that's done. And I just continue to breathe all day long. Every once in a while, I'll breathe into my abdomen just a full breath. But I find that I'm able to breathe on my own and still have many revelations.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, with some of those breaths, you're trying to force something, especially when it's combined with placing your attention like between your eyes or on certain chakras. You're trying to energize those areas. And if you're blocked, yes, it is dangerous because you can create problems that are serious medical problems.
Okay.
So it's more probably most people, well, not everybody, but would agree that it's better just through your own natural awakening.
Yes.
To let that happen rather than to try to prematurely make it happen. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, again, in this sense of awakening not being some peak experience, neither is it having some psychic ability. Mm-hmm. Those are still in like Ramana Maharshi and these guys, it's like, that's, don't get caught up in that. That's not, maybe people pass through that, but you must let it go.
Yes.
So think of like, if you're going to describe soul and all that in this descending order, right? Because that's the way we usually understand it. It's probably more dimensional.
Yes.
Than up and down.
Yeah.
But it's like, it sort of looks like, you have the absolute, and then part of the absolute breaks off, and it goes through the idea of man. And then there's the soul. And then that soul creates this, like if you believe in incarnation, called a permanent personality. And then that breaks down into the temporary personality, which is here and now.
Yes.
And the idea in self-realization is to return to the absolute as much as possible. So none of what's in between is left. Remembering all your past lives and all that, it's beyond that.
Well, that's another interesting topic, is past lives, and how do people know that they've had a past lives, and do they dream them and then know them, or do they just know them? I mean, past lives is a really big topic.
The way I look at it is we try to, even what I just did is an attempt to understand something and put it into words. To me, past life is the same kind of attempt. That it's undeniable that people have this almost full sense of a memory. They can remember the streets and the signs and all that.
Yes.
What is that? It's there. It's just there. That's the way I look at it. So when I'm working with somebody, if that comes in, it's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason in the story that they're remembering that we need to bring in to integrate.
Okay.
I don't care if it's a past life, because I want people to be free of all the stories, not to collect a nice book of past lives.
Yes.
Which some people do. So I don't debate it or deny it, or I just know that it comes in and it happens, and I think it's probably true in some way or another that there is this more permanent part of ourselves. Some people would call that the soul. In the Eastern, the soul is more closer to the absolute.
Right.
Before thought. There's a nice sort of affirmation, and it goes, I am the soul. I am light divine. I am love. I am will. I am fixed design. So it's got a design.
Yes.
Because it went from the idea of man into soul.
Beautiful.
And perhaps ideally if we could live according to that design. But here we've collected all these experiences with all these stories that, we have to move through. And it's like we descend down through them all, create them, gather them, and then we've got to sort of clear them all out of the way on the way back. But the way I look at it is really, we are here to be here.
Yes.
We're not just here to end up not being here. And that's, for me, the center, the one noble truth is to live at the center.
Yes.
Which is treat everybody the way you want to be treated. And, if you look at the world, it's always been this back and forth between that idea and greed. And it's playing out very strongly right now.
Yes.
And it's just part of the natural rhythm of man's evolution. Back and forth, back and forth. And to me, the earth is that's where that happens.
Yes.
And maybe, you get to a certain point, you don't come back to this particular vibration. But this is where this happens. This isn't going to be utopia. Because there's always new souls that come in that are going to learn. Mm-hmm. And that have to go, some of their learning is to be bad people.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, it's like don't worry about the rest of the world or other people, live at the center.
Live in the center, yeah.
So that's the best thing you can do for the whole world.
Yes. Thank you very much, Clay. It's wonderful to be in your company and listen to the wisdom that you've developed over the years. And would you like to tell the audience the name of your book?
Medicine of One is one of them, by Lomakayu, and then the other one is One Noble Truth.
One Noble Truth, yeah.
And I have my YouTube channel, which is Medicine of One, and my website, medicineofone.com.
Beautiful. And you are a very famous audiobook reader.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, but I've done a lot of audiobooks, yes.
To me, you're a very famous audiobook reader. And I'm sure a lot of people think that way. You have a unique voice that's different from any voice that I've ever heard. And I listen to audiobooks for a living almost.
Well, that's really nice to hear, because it's certainly what I've tried to do, is to be just, and just like you were describing, you did your audiobook, right? And you'd never done one. I wrote my book and said I'm going to do it as an audiobook, and I'd never done an audiobook, and that's where I started.
Beautiful. And then people started hiring you.
Yeah, I don't really do other people's books anymore. I don't like dealing with their egos.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. And it's been such a pleasure, as I said, to be in your company and in your wisdom. And so thank you very much.
Yeah, it's nice to spend time with you, Rhonda.
Thank you for listening and being part of the journey with Nature of Consciousness, your host, Rhonda Grant. Theme song is composed and performed by John Park Wheeler.